Hey, Sarah, welcome to the Live Different podcast/vodcast. Did you know there's a thing called a vodcast?
No, that's a made-up word.
No.
Completely and utterly.
Also, it's podcast, really.
Ah, come on. We live in a world of make-up words. And
That's right.
I like that. Yeah, here we are again, Sam. We're having another crack at this blog cast thing that we're doing. It's going to be great.
Goodness,
It's going to be
I'm
awesome.
not sure about my choice in co-host after that little...
It's going to be awesome.
No, it would be
It's going
good.
to be awesome.
Last time we did this, though, we just had microphones. Now
I
we've
know.
got cameras everywhere.
Now you
It's a
actually
bit
get to
intimidating.
see what really goes on when Sam and I get to chat together.
Hopefully,
It's going to be great.
Something decent. We want to welcome our very first ever special guest to the Live Different podcast. Guys, thank you so much for taking the risk.
Thanks for having us.
So far, so good.
What
We
did
have
we
no
sign
idea.
up for?
We have no idea where we're going to be in half an hour's time, but hopefully in a good place. Tim Hanna, welcome.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Great to have you
Hurrah.
on. And Hannah White. What
Hello,
a privilege.
everyone.
You seem really
Thank
nervous.
you.
That was a nervous giggle.
Oh, after that intro, I didn't know what we're in for, really.
No, we don't know either. We'll just see what happens. We've got a
We-
few things planned, but...
Living life different. That's what we're doing,
That's
Hannah.
right, live
We're living life
Oh,
different.
this is pretty normal, I would say.
Very good. Hey, to get to know especially you guys a bit better, we're going to start off with a little segment we like to call First or Worst. First or Worst. So I'm going to ask you guys to either talk about your first time doing the thing that I'm about to mention, or your worst time doing the thing I'm about to mention. Now get really, because this could be anything.
Be
This
afraid.
could
Be very
anything.
afraid.
Like I wanted to go with kiss, your first kiss or your worst kiss, but I was warned off that, and maybe we'll come back to that at the end of the series.
Sounds good.
Tim's up for that one.
Tim's
Yeah.
up. All right. Next time, Tim. But we're going to go for something a little bit more sanitized. We're going to go for your first time behind the pulpit or your worst time behind the pulpit. You get to choose. But we're going to add some spice into your answer, like literally.
Yes, we
Before
are.
you start talking, you have to eat a red rooster.
Hot,
They don't
hot,
they don't
hot.
sponsor this podcast.
No.
We just went up the road and
We
bought it.
did.
But you have to eat a red rooster wing with your
Hot wing,
choice.
hot wing.
It's a hot wing.
Hot wing.
With your choice of hot sauce.
Hot sauce.
You get to pick the
go
sauce.
with the hot wing.
There's three sauces. I think we'll let Tim go first in choosing the sauce he wants.
I'd just actually like to break in here, Sam.
Go for it.
Because we actually have 3 flavours of sauces and apparently only 2 guests.
Yes.
And one of the items of this podcast is that, we're getting people who are preaching and, I think you actually fall into this category. And you seem to have been making a lot of, comments about this hot sauce and the 3 sauces. We don't want one going missing. So I vote for you to have the
I
third
second.
one.
This wasn't in the run
Oh,
sheet, Sarah.
You're in, babe. You're in.
It's unanimous.
Okay.
Okay, well,
Okay. Let's have the hot wings.
all right.
Bring in the hot wings.
He just got immediately
Which is
nervous.
the
I
which
did.
is the hottest sauce?
Well, I don't know.
I don't know. This is where you get to choose.
Thank you, Lockie.
I think Tim should have first.
Who, are you putting the sauce on the wings, Sarah? Is that your job?
Oh yeah, I'm going
And
to.
I have like Derek Peters' white pants on, so I don't want to spill any.
I'm just squeezing through.
They don't belong to Derek Peters. They belong to me. But they're the colour of
What?
Tim.
What? Yeah, I can take the chicken. The chicken's easy.
Chicken's easy.
Yes,
We
chicken's
need a whole lot
easy.
of serviettes here, Lockie, if you've got
We've
them.
got some serviettes.
Do we
Wow.
have napkins?
Oh,
We have.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's the size of my face.
What kind of chicken is that? That's not a wing. That's like a thigh.
oh, what's that? Original what?
Okay, so they all look disgusting to me. I mean, delicious. They all look delicious.
Right. They do look disgustingly delicious, but I'm going to have a spot of just a little spot of Tabasco.
No, hang on. But I thought Sarah gets to choose. How
No,
much?
she doesn't.
Oh, you get to choose. Okay. all right.
You're-
Age wins. I
Sarah
know I'm
did,
older
you
than
would
Sarah.
I know.
Just a little spot of Tabasco.
Oh, is it getting hot in
Is-
here? Just,
Is there a
cold
bucket
before.
nearby somewhere? Because I
So you've got to open this. Okay, here we go.
right.
I can't remember the last time I
Right.
had.
And
a
after you
chicken
take the
wing.
bite, Tim, then you have to
Red
tell us
rooster.
about your first or worst time in the pulpit.
Okay. I'm going to. That's in a spot. I'm going to lick it to even it out. Okay. Oh, why did I do that? Oh, okay. Bite.
Here's a bite. All right.
Oh, man.
Okay.
Good man. You don't
Well, he's
have to
going
eat
back for a
anymore.
second bite. Is he? Is he going back for a
Oh!
Maybe he missed
Oh!
lunch today. Okay. Now, first or worst time in the pulpit, Tim Hanna.
Oh, can I talk about my last time? No. First time in the pulpit was when I'd been a pretty young Christian. I was just on my way. On my way to Bible college the next week, and so my church felt obliged to ask me to preach before I went. Never preached before in my life. So I
We may need some water.
Okay.
Bring the water with them.
Not yet. He's got to finish the answer first.
I prepared a message. I told everything I ever knew about God, because I'd only been a Christian a short time, in one sermon. I just put it all together, and it took 12 minutes. And I rode down to church on my bike, got there early, preached it, took 12 minutes, and that was all I knew. And I thought, how in the world am I ever going to speak again? And I'm thinking the same thing again. How in the world am I going to... So that was it.
That's excellent.
That was awesome.
That's excellent.
That was
Fantastic.
awesome.
Well done. Tanner's
Thank you.
turn.
Okay, Hannah. Are you ready?
Yes. Can I have a napkin?
Oh, yeah.
You need a napkin.
Napkins.
I know I'm gonna make a mess of this.
Tim's still eating the wing.
Oh, yeah,
He's
cool.
enjoying it. I only had lunch 5 minutes ago.
I've gone beyond Tabasco.
Genuinely so massive.
Big chickens.
It's an ostrich, actually.
Oh, I can smell the spice.
That's the smallest one I could find. Oh my golly.
Pepper sauce.
I like this
Hot
is
sauce.
a pretty
Chu-
bottle.
Chulala.
Yeah, I like the pretty bottle.
Cholula.
I too would go with the aesthetically pleasing.
Well, I'll remember that for next time. Yeah. When it's your turn.
Right, you ready?
I don't know how hot it is though.
Keep going.
It's not.
Oh my golly gosh.
Okay, here we go. Big bite, and then tell us first or worst.
I don't know how to eat these.
Come on,
It's really about the sauce, I
It's
think.
easy.
I got a big chunk of the sauce. My worst time. This is good. My worst time was when I was hosting a communion moment in the city, and I just asked everybody to turn to each other and pray together. And because it's a 5 p.m, we have lots of international students. I was really going for the family vibes.
Breathe, Hannah, breathe.
I feel like breathing doesn't help. It's just like, anyway. And I told them all to turn into each other and to pray with one another. And then I was walking off the stage, giving them a moment to have communion. And as I did, I hit the edge of the step rolled out from underneath me, and there was a clothes, big thing of a clothes rack on the side. So I went straight into the clothes rack, absolutely stacked it off stage. And because the room was quiet, everyone was like, and I just was like lying on the floor being like, I'm fine, everything's fine. And everyone was like, I don't know what to do with that, because she was like on the floor in pieces. And then I had to get up and continue hosting, and I was like, welcome to City. It is so good to have you here. I had bruises the size of my face,
Wow.
like on my leg and my
Oh,
arm. It was like
no.
all
You were
sorts of
showing us
colours.
photos on your phone of it before. Maybe
Yeah.
we could
No,
find a way to get
it's
that on
fine.
the screen.
It's
Now we
fine.
can see your
You can
bruises.
picture it in your.
time.
It
Okay, all right,
might
fine.
put people off their food to see
Yeah.
such gory,
It's actually really good
I was
sauce.
about to say, I'm really disappointed with that. Was a great story, but there was not a strong enough sauce effect in that story.
No.
Like with
Actually-
Tim.
No, well,
my
Mr.
lips
Jackson.
are still, my lips are still going like that.
That's what we
No,
want.
should now
it's
talk
like a really good flavour. If
should
you
talk-
don't know what to do with that afterwards, I'll take it home.
Ah,
Okay, and I've got-
We should talk about the first kiss now. 'Cause
he's
it's
on
reminding
fire.
you of it, is
That's
it?
right.
It's reminding you of the first kiss.
It was a
All right.
fire. Right, Mr.
Okay.
Jackson,
Yeah,
I think
righto.
you're up.
Serviette,
This is
please.
it. Serviette, here we go.
Yes, I don't want any of this on my nice,
Right.
clean jeans.
You ready?
The hot wing with the hot sauce is a
It's a good
strong combination.
I shouldn't have eaten.
combination.
Okay, there we go. Hold that bit. And I've got the little Tabasco left, haven't I? Isn't that just
Okay.
normal Tabasco?
I think maybe we should give you both.
Oh.
yeah, both.
Oh, what do you think they're going to vote?
All
Far
three.
out, come
Why
on.
don't you give all three? Just like a little dot of each one.
Now,
I think we're running out of time, actually.
No,
This
we've
this
got
segment
ready.
has dragged on way beyond the time frame that our director
Oh.
behind camera number one gave us.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh,
no, that's
Sarah.
going everywhere. What are you doing?
no, I couldn't see. I didn't have my glasses on.
It does that.
She doesn't have her glasses on.
I feel
Sorry.
this is the biggest setup of all time. Oh, yep.
And then
I'm
we have-
I'm not
thoroughly.
going to bite that
we
bit.
have a nice tasty bit to go on
Okay,
the top.
all right.
It's
I've got to think of a
great.
story too. I wasn't prepared.
Oh, thank you.
All right, okay, here we go.
Oh, get in there.
That's great. Okay.
He took a really big
My story
bite.
is not about being in the pulpit. It's about a wedding that I did on the stage. Yep. And we had the platform that we did the ceremony on was
Maybe we should get this man some water.
It was a separate platform, and had a little bit of a gap in it. And when it came time, it was like my second wedding ever. When it came time to get the rings off the best man, yeah, this is a bad combo of three sauces.
You can do it.
I got him to put the two rings on my folder on my sheets of paper. And when I went to go, hey everyone, they went straight down and they went into the gap between the two platforms, and we had to pause the wedding. I just said we're going to take a brief intermission, and it took us about 5 or 6 minutes to pull the thing back, find the rings, get them out again, and continue with the wedding. That's it. I'm done. Water, please. And here endeth the first segment. Go to ad.
If we're really honest, every one of us has big questions about life. Like, why am I here? What is my purpose? Is there a God? And what happens when I die? But in the busyness and the distractions of life, so often we don't stop, pause, and ask these really important questions. Alpha is a great place to stop and ask the big questions of life and faith. Why don't you try Alpha?
Okay.
Welcome back, people. Sam is still alive. We were worried there for a minute, despite telling us how manly he actually is.
I don't think that's
obviously
what I
we
said.
believe that. We nearly did have to call the medics in.
I'm glad I got through my story. I can actually feel it in my nose now. It is. It gets worse the more you swish it around your mouth.
Yeah, you can stop
The water
talking
doesn't help.
now. Yeah, shh.
Revenge is sweet, Sarah.
Shush.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we are actually here to have a serious chat.
Okay.
Tell us more, Sam.
So across all our campuses, we have begun a series in First Peter called "Live Different." Thank you, Aldi. Thank you to the creative team for that that very original title. No, it's a great 2 words that picks up on. Oh, that was a joke.
It's funny.
You're on the creative team.
Oh,
You
yeah.
didn't appreciate that, did you? Okay. Anyway, no, it is a great title that picks up on what Peter is writing this letter for.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought we'd kick off our first episode of this podcast, even though the series has begun across all our campuses, having a chat about the man himself, about Peter.
Who is Peter?
Who is Peter? What was in his heart when he wrote this letter? What were some of the experiences he had with Jesus, and what's he trying to get across to the people who he writes to? So, Tim, why don't you kick us off, mate? As you've been a part of this series, preaching at Ormo yesterday, what are some of the things that come to your mind when you think of this man, Peter?
I reckon Peter's a bit of a conundrum, but he's a breath of fresh air at the same time. Because, I mean, he on the one hand, he's the first disciple to declare Jesus as the Messiah, the Christ, but then, it's not too long after that, around that, where he disowns him. He walks on water, one of the only 2 people in the history of the world to walk on water, and then he sinks. And it's funny because he doesn't get afraid so he doesn't sink and then get afraid. He's afraid, and then he sinks.
Yeah.
So, and then he becomes one of the leading, frontmen in the church, but he still takes a while to understand the gospel because he thinks initially it's only the message of Jesus only for Jews, and it takes him a while to get that. So he's a conundrum. But he's a breath of fresh air because that's like all of us.
Yeah.
And we're all a bit of a conundrum. We're all up here and down here and make mistakes. So I like him because of that.
Yeah.
Very relatable.
He is so relatable because you kind of you can see yourself in him, can't
Absolutely.
you? On the good days when you're like full of faith, and then the next day when you're like, oh, I got nothing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hannah, thoughts on Peter?
Well, I don't want to throw my friend under the bus right
you're
now,
going to anyway.
but I'm going to.
You always say that before you're about to do the very
Yeah.
thing that you don't want to do, right? Yeah.
I have a friend who says if Peter was still alive today, she would 100% want to marry him because he just is so real. And like you guys said, I think the thing everyone loves about him is how relatable he is in like what you were saying with the conundrum, that sometimes you can relate to him and how strong your faith feels and how much you are so in love with God and how he just works and is such a powerful God and is so close to us, but also we can have so many doubts and questions, and actually through Peter and his story, so many of those are answered for us, which is actually really helpful to know that we're not alone in those doubts, and even his closest friends had that. And so, it's a pretty cool thing to have in the Bible, characters that are that relatable,
absolutely.
Yeah.
rather than it being too high to achieve
Yeah.
that kind of status. It's like, oh no, he's like one of us.
Yeah.
Nibble fed like the rest of us. I find one of the things I find really relatable about Peter is he's so certain of himself. He's so certain that when he's speaking in the moment, this is it. This is true. And I remember when I went through Bible college and when I was particularly in my 20s, there's something about that decade where you are so sure of what you believe. And then only to later on be challenged about that and kind of go, oh, maybe I should put a ... after that rather than a full stop. And I reckon with Peter too, it's that Jews and then the Gentiles and the surprise almost that he has that Jesus is sending his Spirit into Gentiles as well. And I hope this is right. I'm gonna defer to you here a bit, Tim, as the elder statesman, but the elder theologian, only a little bit older than me, but
and the rest.
First Peter is a letter to Gentiles. Predominantly, is it not?
It is just where we would now think of the nation of Turkey.
Yeah.
It's to certain regions and people who were struggling with their faith because they're being persecuted.
Yeah.
So it's not to one particular church; it's to a group of both disparate followers of Jesus, some in small groups, who were, who found daily living with Jesus a hard thing and persecuted because of it. So he's writing. What I love about Peter is that he can be that conundrum of up and down, but he becomes a leader in the church.
Yeah.
And we tend to think of you like that, you're no good. You're no good to the kingdom.
Yeah.
But he becomes the leader of the church,
I love
which
that.
is exciting.
So, Tim, as you were preparing your sermon that you did yesterday, what do you felt God revealed to you afresh about Peter this time?
Ooh, I felt that he was saying, our theme is live different. I felt one of the things he was saying was, you have to be different to live different. So God wants you to be different and live different out of that rather than live different so you can be different.
Yeah.
So it's not just we tend to think if we just live the right way and tick the right behavioural boxes, then we can be different, we'll make a difference in the world. But the difference comes from being transformed by Jesus, and then the difference comes out of that, and that becomes very clear in the letter.
So good.
Yeah, that's huge. And that often when there's a therefore in Paul's letters as well,
Yeah.
it is that connection, isn't it? They're at pains to say, this is who you are, this is what you've become, this is who you are in Christ, therefore live this way, rather than live this way in order to please God in the hope that he might give you his
Yeah.
favour at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
The state of your heart. Where's your
Yeah, the temptation is just to let's behave better and we'll be better Christians, and then holiness becomes a sort of moralism rather than we're in touch with a holy God,
Yeah.
and that's what I think it's different.
Yeah, I love that.
When I launched a series at Redlands campus, I started with a conversation between Jesus and his disciples that's recorded in John 14. And Peter, remarkably, Peter doesn't say anything. And it's a bit of a deep, it seems like a deep theological discussion. I'm not sure they saw it that way at the time. But Peter's, according to John, silent. Maybe he said some stuff and John went, I'm leaving that out. Peter,
Just
Peter
chose not to write.
put his foot in his mouth again. But there's those questions that cause Jesus to say, I'm the way, the truth, and life. Philip or Thomas asked him, we don't know where you're going. How can we know the way? And then Philip says, show us the Father, that will be enough. And then Judas, who John's really quick to say, not Iscariot, the other Judas, asked this question. And the way that I sort of word it is, why would you not show your glory to the world? Why are you just showing yourself to us? Show yourself to the world, and this could be over a lot quicker. But Jesus, the way Jesus answers, I reckon a paraphrase is, I'm going to show my glory to the world through the church.
Yep.
That's my plan.
Yep.
I'm going to show who I am to the world through the church. And I reckon Peter's there. And I just said, I reckon it's in Peter's heart that when he sits down to write this letter, that conversation might have been, and conversations like it might have been ringing around.
Yeah.
You guys who are spread out throughout this area, who are under intense persecution, under pressure, Jesus' plan for you is to show his glory to the world through you. So be holy like he's holy. This is who you are. You've been saved. You've been given this living hope. You're all of these things to live out according to the plans of Jesus to show his glory to the world.
Yeah.
And Peter's a great example of that because he, as we said, he's so relatable.
Yeah.
You know what I love in that too is that Peter made so many mistakes, and we watch that and we go, yeah, we make mistakes too. But if he calls someone like Peter who denied him at the cross, but still used him to do all of those remarkable things, how much can he use us and our faithfulness and our devotion to God? Yeah. Even the little that we have, he will use it to do whatever he wants to do, which is so encouraging.
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah,
Perhaps I reckon perhaps the most significant question Jesus asked, he asked to Peter, "Who do you say that I am?" And I think Jesus normally asks questions not so that he wants nice answers. He asks us questions that cause us to ask questions of ourselves.
Yeah.
I think that's and sort of caused Peter to ask that question.
And
of
for
himself.
all of us to kind of say, who is Jesus to us?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
I love our church. I love that we have 5 different campuses, 5 different gatherings across our cities actually, 3 cities represented in the churches that we have. And whoever's preaching there, whether it's Tim or myself or Hannah or someone else, you get the same passage but kind of a slightly different angle on it. And so encourage you off the back of listening to the audio or watching the video to jump on our podcasts through Spotify or iTunes or whatever else. Or through our website and have a listen across campuses every now and again. It's
and then you can actually catch up with Tim said and actually what Sam said and what everybody else said in their take. Yeah.
I can feel the
buzzer.
No, not the buzzer. I can feel the liquids in my nose getting thinner and thinner.
That's TMI. We do not need to know.
Is impacting my sinuses and causing
no,
dribbles
that's
to come
just
down.
nasty. That's nasty.
Tingly lips still. Anyway, on that note,
I think we need to have a bit of a speed round here, Sam.
A speed round.
Speed round.
Oh, you're talking about best 30. The thing, what we were going to call it according to our planning.
Okay, we're calling it best 30. You hear this first, people.
She's making stuff up, Don. What do we do?
Speed round. It's called communication, people. Communication.
Best 30.
Best 30.
Yeah. Okay, you want me to tell people what this is about?
Well, it might be helpful.
Okay.
It would certainly be helpful.
So this is a challenge.
Seriously. What have I got to work with here, people?
This is a challenge. This is a challenge for you, Tim, and for me. We are going to give, from our message yesterday, the best 30 seconds. It doesn't have to be a 30-second summary, but the 30 seconds from your message that you think, you have to be, be a bit humble about this, but what you think was the best. Because I reckon there's a number of people who sit in our churches who only hear 30 seconds of a 30 to 50-minute sermon. So if you wanted them to only hear this 30 seconds of your sermon, what 30 seconds would it be? We're going to have a timer. Who's got the timer going? We've got Lockie on the timer.
Good job.
And there will be a buzzer at the end of the 30 seconds.
I've never preached with Tabasco poisoning before. But we'll do it. We'll do our best.
Great 30. This could be a great.
We're going to call it Fast and Furious, actually.
Wiping my
I still
nose.
want to hear the story.
I'm just making stuff up.
Okay, are you ready? Have you got your 30 seconds?
I've got some seconds.
Okay, here we go. Well, Lockie's going to show you the countdown. And here we go. In 3, 2, 1, preach.
One of the things that Peter says to us as the church is, you're a royal priesthood. And, the priests in the Old Testament had the opportunity to go into the special presence of God and enter there once a year. But now, by that he's saying, now you have that opportunity to go in at any time, with anything, with anybody, and make a difference. That's the role of the priest. And also, the priest had to make sure that the fire in the temple never went out. And now being the temple of the Spirit, we've got to make sure the same thing doesn't happen.
Wow.
Good job.
Whoa.
That
I want to
was
listen
very
to that
awesome, by the
message.
way.
That would have been very awkward to make that noise when
Did you like that?
the word of God was being preached.
I'm just following
Sarah.
the rules.
I couldn't have done
I'm
that.
a rule follower.
That was very bold.
You told me the rules.
She
I'm
went
following
right
the
in there.
rules.
Glad you weren't there yesterday. I don't mind a hallelujah or amen, but that would have been...
I was ready to... Anyway, but Sarah just went... And
I know. Well, sorry.
You're going to do that to me
ready
now?
because it's going to happen
No,
now
I have
again.
a lovely noise for you.
All right. Are we ready? Okay, can you count?
We all have a lovely
You
noise
okay,
here,
Anthony?
mate.
Can you see that,
You're going to
Sam?
count me out? Yeah, I can see
You
that.
actually need your glasses.
I wouldn't be able to see if it was here, but I can
Okay,
see it over there.
right, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
3, 2, 1.
We live in a time where the predominant message of our world says the way to happiness is to affirm yourself, and get around people who will affirm you. You choose your identity from within, you live that out, and you affirm it, and you have other people around you who affirm it. I reckon the most countercultural thing that Jesus would say in 2023 to us, the statement in 2 words that is completely counter to everything we're told, is deny yourself. Deny yourself. If you want to love your life, you'll lose it. If you lose your life... Yep, I messed that last bit up, so I'm glad the time ran out. Thank you.
What was that noise?
Good
I think
job.
you get the point,
Good
though.
job. Good
Yeah,
job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Sarah, it's been fun.
It's been what it's been.
It's been 20 minutes.
that you'll never get back ever. Hannah, thank you so much for being.
Thank you,
Privilege.
Hannah. Thank
for
you
being
for
the
coming.
guest. Tim, thank you
Tim.
very
Pleasure.
much. You
Thank
added
you.
a lot of value to
And
what I'm not
Mr.
sure we would have been
Jackson,
without you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you.
Join
us again
thank you,
next
Sarah.
week.
Thank you, Lockie. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Kate. Everyone in the room. What fun we've had.
It's been special.
And you can tune in again next time to our Live Different podcast and vodcast. Have a great week. Don't forget to tune in. Don't forget to tune in to the podcast from all the other campuses.
Exactly. Do it.
See you next time.
Do it.
Bye.
Bye.